Hey guys, I'm Giovanni Herbert. Welcome to SnapComms, where we bring you news in a snap. Featured on SnapComms today is the Director of the Water and Sewerage Department, Mrs. Pearline Scatliffe-Leonard. She will be sharing with us on reservoir development and distribution within the territory. Good day, Mrs. Leonard.
Good day, Mr. Herbert, and thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Water reservoirs are being constructed throughout the territory of the British Virgin Islands. The last update was the Mayor Cove Reservoir being constructed in the Hodges Creek area of Tortola. What does this reservoir's completion mean to the residents of that area?
First of all, it would mean that we're finally getting a relief with regards to the consistency of our water supply in that area. Currently, what we are doing there is supplying our customers utilizing the bypass that was constructed by us, to ensure that some sort of relief was provided to our customers. With the passage of Hurricane Irma, and I believe that was complemented by Hurricane Maria, we lost the fiberglass reservoir in that area. What really happened is that it took the entire roof off. So as opposed to repairing that roof, the decision was taken by our government to construct a glass to steel tank in that area. It's a much bigger tank. It's about 3 times the capacity of the fiberglass reservoir. It's about 300,000 gallons we'll be having in that tank. And so we are excited about that because we do have issues of low water pressure in that area, or no water at times, even with the fiberglass reservoir. So we are very excited to have that going on.
That reservoir, you guys have already started to fill that as well?
We're actually currently filled to capacity on the tank. We actually have currently 28 feet of water in the tank. But what is happening, we are actually installing a bypass. So we are thinking about how resilient we can be. With the bypass, what we'll be able to do in the event we have to maintain that reservoir, or in the event we have another disaster, and we are praying to our God above that we don't have such a disaster again, we will be able to utilize that bypass to serve our customers. So it would not be such a long wait again as we did with Irma and Maria to supply our customers. We could do it within 2 to 3 days as opposed to weeks. Right. Okay. Once everything goes well.
And now, is that the bypass, that's something that you were incorporating in the other reservoirs or other locations? Like, say, for instance, right now, just Jos Van Dyke, the reservoir at Roach Hill was destroyed. What's in place now for those residents, and what's being done to ensure there's continuity for the residents in that area?
On Jos Van Dyke, we lost that reservoir, completely lost the reservoir, because what happened, we didn't get the opportunity to fill that tank. And so it was basically, quarter full or thereabouts. So Hurricane Irma just took that reservoir with her. We have been with the assistance and cooperation of Mr. Noreen Blackman on Jos Van Dyke, and I want to thank him so much. He lives on St. Thomas, I believe. I want to thank him so much for assisting us with that. We have been using his cistern. So we did a thorough cleaning of that cistern, and we did whatever we had to do to sterilize it. So we are using that cistern to help us with the storage of the water coming from our plant there on Jos Van Dyke. The base work for that tank is almost completed. It's just for the concrete floor to be cast. And once we get our concrete trucks over there, we'll be able to do that. And I'm sure that the agency supplying us with the concrete is doing its best to make sure that we get over there safely, and make sure that we have the concrete in the quantities that we need, and the consistency and the strength that we need to do a good job on that end as well. Because that is our purpose, to make sure whatever it's done strong, it's done to some resiliency. Yes, very strong. We want to make sure that happens. So we are taking our time, making sure it's done right, and we do thank the customers on Jos Van Dyke for the patience, the support, and the understanding, being so cooperative.
In North Sound, there is currently a fiberglass reservoir at Pearl Hill. Explain the plan for that location and how is that plan going to affect the residents there? I think it's at Bonds, people in the Bonds. And is there a temporary reservoir for them to have continuity there as well?
On the North Sound Virgin Gorda Inn, we have 2 reservoirs, and they're both fiberglass reservoirs as well. We have one at Little Hill, and we have one at Parrot Hill. The Little Hill Reservoir, what that reservoir does is pump the water to the Parrot Hill Reservoir. The Parrot Hill Reservoir actually supplies the folks in the Bonds. So that's where that falls. We are installing a steel tank at Parrot Hill as well. And once that's completed, we shouldn't have any more problems at Parrot Hill and with the folks in the Bonds, because they do get some licks on that inn when we do not have enough water to supply them, etc. So they have been suffering for a bit.
So that tank at Little Hill is a lot bigger than the one at Parrot Hill, or is just location regarding pumping towards Parrot?
The tank at Little Hill, it's not much bigger, I would say. The only negative to that is that we are pumping from Little Hill to Parrot Hill. What can happen and what the department would like to see, and I'm sure that the ministry would support it, we would want to see that eventually we will be pumping the water from the plant directly to Parrot Hill. Because then we would eliminate some expenses, and that's what we are trying to do as well. Eliminate whatever expense we can on our posts, and pumping from the plant to Parrot Hill would help us achieve that in Parrot Hill. And that tank would, by gravity, supply everybody. So we want at some point to get to that stage. But for now, even with the new tank at Parrot Hill, you'll find that we are still pumping water from Little Hill to Parrot Hill. And we want to eliminate that part of the process at some point in time, in the very, very, very near future. Not some point of time, very near future, so that we could have a more efficient operating system.
And in closing, as we get ready to close out this year, is there anything else that we can look forward as far as the Water and Sewerage Department completions? Or I know Anegada was one thing that that came up at one point. I'll allow you to probably share, and anything else that you wanted to let the public know with regards to some of the works that's going on within the...
I will try to be very brief. We have so much in the pipeline for our water system and our sewage system. We don't want to leave the sewage system out in this process. On Anegada, we will be doing some repairs and maintenance to that tank. It hasn't been repaired in a while. We do have some issues with it. So, but it's not impacting or distribution part of the service. So we are still good with that. Just that we want to do the necessary work, so we'll have that tank a little bit longer so it won't fail us. So we'll be over there hopefully during the first or even second quarter of next year to get that done. With regards to Tortola, because we do have a few other fiberglass reservoirs in the system that we want to get out of the system. So we have at Zion Hill, that's West End, and we have a fiberglass in Carrot Bay as well. And in Longbush, we have a concrete reservoir. And those are 3 reservoirs that we are working on now to actually install steel tanks. So we haven't missed anybody out. When we are finished, before the next year is completed, we want to have all steel tanks in the system. And that would help us to be a bit more efficient with regards to even providing a distribution service that people expect. Because we are a bit behind with regards to how we address that distribution part of it. And it's not for lack of employees not trying or the department not trying, but of course we agree that the resources have to be in place for us to do what we have to do. So we are looking forward to seeing that improvement in the system. I'm sure the customers are too. With regards to sewage, we are fixing as we go. We have installed pumps in various areas in Rotown. I know we had many spills at UPs, so that situation is corrected. We have had a grave situation up at Horsepath, that's corrected. And we had an issue by Force Bank, that's corrected. So we are now moving away further up the road by Puzzle Entrance because we do have right-way there, it's always bubbling up. And we are going there in a bit to start that situation. Because we, like everybody else, the team and myself, we want an excellent Christmas as well. So we want to make sure everything in the field is working and everybody's happy and everybody will get some peace around Christmas time.
We get to hear a little bit those names and areas that were mentioned. I'm sure they now can have something to look forward to in the close of the year with regards to the direction the Department of Water and Sewage is going and the areas where they're trying to remedy. So again, thank you for coming on to SnapComms. We do appreciate you giving us that update, or those updates rather, on what's taking place within your department as well. All right.
Yes.
Well, that's it for today, guys. I'm Giovanni Herbert signing off. Be sure to tune in for your daily feed of SnapComms, where we bring you news in a snap.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Twitter, and Facebook at BVI Government and Instagram at GIS-BVI.
SnapComms is brought to you by the Disaster Recovery Coordinating Committee, Government of the Virgin Islands.